Ag PhD full episodes and more are now available on Acres TV, the newest ag platform connecting you to fields of information. Look for us on watchacrestv.com.
If you've ever been on a big airplane where they have one of those fancy screens right in front of your seat so you can see the altitude and miles per hour and everything, there's also something there that says temperature. And you probably looked at it and said, what? It's 40 below zero here? That's crazy. Today at our Farm Basics time, we're going to talk a little about air inversions. The standard thing for air is to be cooler as you go higher up. But what an air inversion is a little ways off the ground where actually there's a warm zone, and that can cause a problem where we can get spray drift that can only go up to that zone, and then it can move sideways. So we'll explain this just a little bit today.
Well, you're probably not on an airplane watching today's program. Maybe you are, but even so, you may not have access to, well, what's the temperature every 10 or 20 feet as you go up? So you say, well, I don't have temperature readings. How can I tell if there's an inversion? Well, you can see an inversion, you can hear an inversion, and you can smell an inversion. All right, that sounds interesting, right? Okay, so how do you smell an inversion? Well, when you've got something that from a long ways away, you say, wait, there's no way that I should be able to smell that or to hear that or even to see it, like smoke that's moving horizontally. That's oftentimes when you have an air inversion. I know we were out filming an Ag PhD show one time, and the local high school marching band 4 or 5 miles away was playing, and we could hear every note, and that was really strange for us. Or if you can hear that train that's 5 or 10 miles away, just plain as day, oftentimes you've got an air inversion, and that's keeping the sound coming low.
So normally sunlight heats up the soil, and then the heat just rises after that. Okay, but the thing is, at the soil surface, that's typically where it's going to be the warmest. Well, what ends up happening as we get toward evening and right away in the morning is sometimes we can get that hot air being, let's call it at 20 feet high or 30 or 40 feet, something like that. So it basically prevents things from moving all the way up because it hits that hot zone. Now, this hot zone doesn't usually last very long. By a lot of times where we farm, at 8 or 9 or 10 in the morning, that air inversion's all gone, no big deal. But during that time, we have to be really careful about what we spray because just like Darren was talking about how smoke can move sideways, that's our concern with any of the herbicides that could potentially what we call volatilize, where it can land on a plant, pick up, and then move later. That's really only dicamba and the old 2,4-D. So that explains why we don't tell anybody anymore to use the old 2,4-D, just use all new Freelix and you don't have to worry about this volatility thing. But in terms of dicamba, if there's an inversion, you just have to be really super careful about spraying it then.
So you don't want to be out there within a couple hours of sunset or sunrise. That's when we normally see these inversions. And then another good indication is, what's the wind speed?
Yep.
If you look at herbicide labels, some labels say they want at least 3-mile-an-hour winds before you can spray. And you think, wait, why do they want it to be windy? Well, if there's at least a 3-mile-an-hour wind, your odds of an air inversion are extremely low. And they just want to help you avoid those air inversions.
All right, so air inversion, it's something you may not have heard of before, but it absolutely impacts farmers out there. We just wanted you to know what that was.
Well, another thing you'd like to identify is our weed of the week. We'll show you how to stop this tough weed later in the show.